All right, all right, all right. Has done left and left and left. Hey, folks, how you doing? Welcome to another in the Who series for Drinking a Wink. What? She's already starting with me. Coming at you. This won't be too long of one. I'm going to tell you a little whiskey. Excuse me. You make me laugh now. Now I'm coughing. Alrighty, right out of the chute. We're going to talk about a little bit of this Who series is doing just a little short series on some whiskeys that I haven't had in a little while. Maybe Michelle might have dipped into it a couple times in the last year, but I don't think I've had it since maybe Score's Bourbonanza. Michelle has probably had it since, judging from the bottle. Maybe she had it before tonight from the way she's behaving. But we're going to talk about a Wild Turkey's bourbon called Longbranch. Now, this Wild Turkey product, and if you don't look closely, if you just on the top label, you might not know that it's Wild Turkey. But this originally came out in 2016. Okay, at that point, Mathew McConaughey joined Wild Turkey, and the master distiller there, Eddie Russell, and Mathew McConaughey became, or McConaughey he came to be. McConaughey, who to be? It's been a long day, folks. And I worked a lot, and I'm off tonight. I was like, I'll just do a video and relax. Now I'm just like, woo-hoo! My beanie's twisted up here. Anyway, Mathew McConaughey and the master distiller Eddie Russell came together, and they hired Mathew McConaughey as Wild Turkey's creative director. Was the title that he got. At that point in 2016, in terms of whiskey and spirits companies, he was kind of like the highest paid. I don't know, there were too many creative directors, but let's just say creative directors, and also, a face for the whiskey. If you've seen the family of Russells that run Wild Turkey, maybe this was an improvement. Anyway, I know Michelle was a big fan of Mathew McConaughey at one time, and you could probably see the resemblance. Anyway, they produced this wonderful little, somewhat affordable bourbon, and they had McConaughey's face on it. Okay, it's called the Longranch. It also kind of reminded me, because God knows if we know anything about the show Gunsmoke, and Lord knows that I have seen a lot of Gunsmoke in the last couple of months. The bar there is known as Longbranch. So surely we all know that that was all filmed in Texas. So that's what. No, it has no connection to that. I'll get into that later. The vibe on this is that. You speaking? What are you? The vibe on this is that we first of all Wild Turkey. We talked about that last week because we have the Wild Turkey 101, which is still well known as being one of the best value whiskeys in the business. Right now, that is currently at about $24. Wait, is that right? Wild Turkey. I don't have the 101. Yeah, 24 or $25. Rye is $1 cheaper generally. Just if you're taking notes, Wild Turkey 101 is one of our favorite value bourbons, at least mine. The 101 Rye, not so great, right? We bought that. Remember that we had the Wild Turkey 101 Rye? We kind of used it in drinks, so that was not a sipper. 101 still a great sipper. Anyway, they produced this bourbon of a kind of a high corn mash bill of 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley. That's kind of the standard Wild Turkey mash bill anyway. Okay, so essentially the story on the Longbranch is that it is owned by the Campari Group, Wild Turkey Distillery. It's basically Wild Turkey's mash bill, aged a couple extra years at 8 years, from what they said. And that mash bill is 75% corn, 13% rye, and then 12% malted barley. The name Longbranch actually comes from, well, this is the kind of creative direction you'll get from a man of McConaughey's ilk. The Longbranch is describing the branch, or the kind of handing out a branch extending a branch, extending an olive branch. I guess if you're going between Kentucky and Texas, it's got to be a long branch. Oh, wow, this is going to be a classic here. Scorza loses it right on. I'm thrown off today a little bit for many reasons. Anyway, but I'm kind of like gushing more about many things than Trump did over Mondani. Anyway, where was I? Yes, so this is what the name comes from. Conahay's from Texas. Eddie Russell, Wild Turkey from Kentucky, and that was how it was extended. I've told you everything I know about the whiskey except for one thing. It's bottled at 43%. I've given you the mash bill, all that. And then what they did in the end is they did a little bit of what they call oak and Texas mesquite charcoal refining. So essentially, they did a little bit of filtering in what you would consider to be oak, and then, well, mesquite charcoal. Okay, that sounds strange to you. This is not like they opened up a bag of Kingford briquettes from Texas and rinsed the whiskey through it. Using charcoal filtering is a very standard process in some whiskey making. Most of the Lincoln County process, when we're talking about Tennessee whiskey, so Dickel and Jack Daniels and many of the other ones, most of the other ones, although not all, use this concept of using sugar maple charcoal to filter, and that's why we get that little Coca-Cola flavor, the little sweeter, little different flavor when we're talking about Tennessee whiskey. So they've done a little bit of filtering on that. This is all that I can tell you about it. I'm going to give you a tasting. I'll talk a little bit at you. On the nose, this nose is, now again, this is at 43% proof, so we would expect the same distillate as Wild Turkey Standard in 101, but just aged a little longer and a lower proof. This is a more mellow nose than 101. As you can see, as I breathe into it, it's going to fog up easier because it's a lower ABV, so more water in there, more condensation. But it's a nice, pleasant nose in that it has a little bit of nuts, a little bit of caramel, but that filtering is already coming through in the nose, and it has a little darker note. It's a little bit, well, I shouldn't say darker, let me say a little different wood note from what we normally get when we're just talking about a charred barrel. Okay, this has actually been run through mesquite charcoal, and it's on the nose. Nice stuff. A little bit of a raisin hint, but the overwhelming thing is the corn sweetness. A little bit of tiramisu flavors, and I'll be honest, just a hint of no, I don't want to say pumpkin spice. Let's just say a little bit of mocha. Okay, because again, this isn't a high rye content mash bill, so it's not spicy. It's just it's pleasant. On the taste, it's mellow. It's a little bit buttery. On the finish, it gets a little darker. I have another taste, and let me take that a little longer. Yeah, it's pleasant. We're getting just very standard bourbon flavors here. There's a little bit of breakfast spice, but not a ton. It just has a very kind of nice rolling, mostly corn flavor. Okay, if I look a little disappointed, I have been drinking more like rye and more, bourbon with some kick lately. So this is tasting a little thin to me. But then again, like I said, that's what I've been drinking, something very different. It's enjoyable, However, I guess maybe what I'm surprised about this, I haven't had this in a long time. Have you had the Longbranch in a long time?
Not in a while.
Okay. Now, this is not your favorite whiskey by any means, right? But in terms of bourbons, you like this one. And it's one of the ones that you like that has a lower rye mash bill.
Yeah.
I really do think that charcoal filtering, that mesquite charcoal, is knocking down like the overly sweet corn notes that you could get from a mash bill this big, in corn, I should say. 8 years old. It's not rich, but it is creamy enough, or it feels a little more luxurious and smooth. I'm going to use the word smooth. Finally, on the taste, on the end there, we get a little bit of the oak flavor. Yeah, I would kind of rank this in the same ballpark as some of the more kind of lighter note bourbon. I'll tell you a little bit about it, and maybe I'll get another taste and kind of change my mind. Yeah, this bottle has been open for a while, so it might have knocked down a little bit, although we know this cork is a nice cork. It's a nice presentation. I guess what I'm surprised about is now 43% ABV is not a big, belter of an ABV. I would almost like to taste this at a little higher ABV point, but here's kind of maybe some informed shopping notes that I can give you. They're not going to bottle this at a higher ABV because this is fitting in a spot in their portfolio that's going to work well for them. They probably don't have to sell a ton of this. They're probably getting at $35. I believe this is at now. They're probably getting a few more dollars than it deserves, if I will say. But then it is 8 years old, and I'm kind of flipping back and forth on the needle. That's nowhere on this bottle. So I'm going to say, yeah, that's what this thing. Now let me explain what my point was about that. So when we talk about wild turkey, you will understand that just regular wild turkey, not the 101, but the standard one, the sub 21 at times, it's going to be a 40% offering, and there you go. Like I said, not a lot of people that, to my mind, buy. I mean, tons of people might buy it, but the 101 now coming down to $25. You really want to buy that 101 if you're going to buy anything from the wild turkey. That's the place to start. You're kind of wasting your time buying just the standard 40% ABV wild turkey. But then, unlike some other brands, Wild Turkey kind of jumps to the Wild Turkey 8-year-old, okay, which is just their 8-year-old. They're still at 8-year-old. I don't know whether it's ABV'd at because I don't have that note here, but that runs up at $45. And then the maybe second most impressive Wild Turkey offering after the 101 for its price is then the Rare Breed. Bigger or whiskey aficionados and people that like bigger, bolder, higher ABV bottlings love that Rare Breed. I am embarrassed to say, I thought I did, but I've never had Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I should probably check it out. We'll see what happens. That Rare Breed is like over $50. It's a $56, close to $60 bottle of whiskey. So when we look at these different things, we've got a standard 40 ABV at $20. We got the 101, which is a belter, and a lot of really, it's not for the faint of heart. You got to know what you're doing with it, even at just that price tag, $25. Then we make this big jump to their regular 8-year-old at $45. So what this is doing is falling into that price tag that is probably competing with the, let's say, more tame, more pleasant, more, I'm going to say it a little bit, more newbie bourbons like Larceny and Basil Hayden comes to mind. And I know a lot of people like Basil Hayden, but I'm just going to say it's not my favorite in terms of if it was $30, I'd buy it and I'd enjoy it. Okay, even I kind of want it less. But the thing that's weird about Basil Hayden and the way that they brand that is that it's bottled at 40% ABV, and then all the kind of labeling and the embossed thing puts it at $40. So again, if you put these together, they're going to be very comparable. Okay, you're getting a couple ABV. But the thing about like Basil Hayden, I know Krista, if you're watching this, I know you mentioned that. Not knocking it ever. You like what you like, you drink it. The thing for me is just like, if I'm going to buy a 40 ABV bottle, then that needs to be cheaper in price. So you're paying for the cool bottle with all the fancy information and the embossed thing. Okay, if you like the way it tastes, that's great. I just don't think it's worth that. And to a certain degree, this isn't really worth $35 either. But you might find it on sale, or you might be just interested in the taste profile. It is a little bit unique in that charcoal filtering in Mesquite gives it a little interesting taste. I meant to say twist. So that's it. Longbranch. The other thing I wanted to mention is as of 3 years ago, I'm looking at it, right at December 31st, Mathew McCau and Eddie Russell and the Wild Turkey Company split ways, and he's no longer doing that. I don't know what ad he's doing now. Maybe that wasn't lucrative enough. Maybe he's doing phone gambling ads like seemingly every other famous person does for no apparent reason. Is Will Ferrell doing one yet?
No, I hope not.
Is that Mary Steenburgen?
Mm-hmm.
Is Mary Steenburgen doing one yet?
Mm-hmm.
I know she won't.
Didn't help her.
But I mean, Ted Danson does a lot of ads though, but not for.
For that, for telephone, for useful things, for senior citizens.
Citizens. All right. It's funny, we're watching. What is this? What are we watching?
Oh.
There is 100. I am 100% sure right now that I know that Mary Steenburgen is tall, and I will 100% guarantee for that shot next to her, James Caan was standing on a box. I will guarantee that. All right. No offense. I'm a short man too. Short man too. Short man too. Poor man toe. Anyway, boy, that was a great tangent. All right. Feels like I'm kind of like maybe I imbibed in like Mathew McConaughey's other favorite whatever. Anyway, the Longbranch bottle at 43%. It's still available. It's still his name isn't on in here, and I would give it a let's say if you want to try something that's still going to be smooth, not going to be too challenging, and you have a bunch of people coming over, and you're not doing bourbon drinking as like tasting and check out my new great bourbon, but you want to have a nice little bourbon on the table. This one is great, and then you have a little bit of a story. You can tell all these stories that I've told about Mathew McConaughey being the creative director. All right, you can get creative yourself. I am still kind of all right. Anyway, folks, thanks for this. Thanks for checking this out. I don't know where I'm going to go next. If we're going to start talking about something new, or we're going to stick with this Who series. It's a lot of fun just to kind of look at the back of the shelf and see if some of these things that we've kind of forgotten about. And again, these are only my opinions, and sometimes Michelle's when she wants to speak up and talk about it. You did like this Longbranch, right? Mm-hmm. But I think both of us have maybe been drinking some whiskeys that I don't know, they just have a little bit more punch and a little bit more to them, and that's just the way we're. So then when we kind of go back, that's we've been having that. These are kind of just but that doesn't mean they're a little bland. I got to finish the sentence here, but it's by no means saying this is a bad whiskey. This is a good whiskey, and if you are afraid of getting some real big belters, and you want to try something a little different over the standard, or you're a Wild Turkey fan, you're like, oh, I wonder what that'll be like. This is cool. All right, I like it. I don't know, maybe we'll buy it again, right? It's sometimes nice to kind of have it. I know we've bought this is probably our third bottle of it, right? third, maybe. Yeah, maybe even more. I don't know, but yeah, we bought it a few times. We liked it. Good holiday whiskey. And remember, you got that story. I don't have anything really else to say, right? I don't really know. We talked about Matthew McConaughey. We talked about Mary Steenburgen. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it. Sturburgeon. We talked about Ted Danson. And then, and then Willie, not Willie, what's his name? Woody Harrelson. They were in Cheers. It all full circle. Because Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey were on the first season of, what was that show? True Detective. It's all coming together. It's like the 5 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon, but it's McConaughey. Am I making any sense at all?
It's 4 degrees of separation.
Is it 4?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Next time I'm going to tell you the story, if I haven't told it on camera. Here you go. I'm going to come back. What would be the next one with Kevin Bacon? What would be the next one would be good? What whiskey would be good? What whiskey reminds you of Kevin Bacon? What? I'm dancing. I'm going to tell you the story on the next one. Not Ted Danson. Dancing like Footloose. I'm going to really losing it, folks. This is really great. Next week, I'm going to be much more composed, or whenever I do my next video. But remind me, the next video I do, I am going to tell you the story of the funny story of when I met Kevin Bacon. So how many degrees of separation, if you know me, are you from Kevin Bacon? Michelle says it's 4. 1, right? Or is it 0? Do we count it if I met him and...
That's a good question.
So are you 1 year old when you're born, or are you 1 year... Oh, man, this is all very... I think I need to drink some more of this and... All right.